Hey, State of Search attendees, Eric Enge here. And I want to talk to you about your SEO plan of the future. If you don't know me, I'm the principal of Digital Marketing Solutions Business Unit at Proficient. So with this bold goal of talking about the SEO plan of the future, I'm really talking about 2021 and beyond. But let's dig in. So first of all, here's my rough agenda. I'm going to start by talking about what drives Google and what their motivations are. It's important to understand that. And then I have my 3 pillars of SEO success: meet the table stakes, that's do your tech SEO right, work the landscape, in other words, take advantage of unique search features, and offer more value. And for that offer more value part, I'm going to really blow out what I mean by more value. It's really important. It's a little bit of a backdrop, though. I want to call out something that Forrester Shar Van Buskirk has been talking about. He's VP and principal analyst at Forrester. And this is the idea of customer obsession. And as Forrester says about it, helps brands win, serve, and retain customers more effectively. And that seems like something we would all want to do. It may be hard to get there. And currently only about 15% of companies do this well. But I happen to think that Google does this pretty well. I'm not sure how Forrester would score it, but I'm pretty sure that Google does it pretty well. Just looking at it a little bit deeper, first of all, as a leader in your business, you need to be a role model and actually take on this customer obsession and help people engage with it. You need to provide people with the resources to move forward with it, unblock things that are blocking them, measure progress and take metrics on it so you can really track how well you're doing, and of course, reward the right behavior. So with this little bit of a backdrop in mind, let's talk a little bit about what drives Google. I'm going to start by sharing some communications that Google has had over the years. First of all, last year, just about a year ago, Danny Sullivan had this to say. He's talking about BERT, but the red line thing here, the fundamentals of us seeking to reward great content remain unchanged. And of course, that's true. Go back a couple months from there, there's another conversation about how to deal with a broad algorithm change. What's the answer? Have great content. And the reason why he's telling you this is what Google in general wants to favor. Over time, their algorithms will get better and better at favoring the better content. Back another couple of years, something from Gary Eish, Rishi Lakhani had a question about an affiliate site with a shallow purpose to make money. Well, to be fair, all of us need to make some money in terms of our activity on the internet, right? And Gary basically says, look, they have amazing content. And while they have sponsored links, the focus is on the user. So that same message coming through again, going back a little further, another conversation with Gary. And this one is back in 2015, question from Marie Haynes about pages with lots of thin content, like blank pages. And Gary's main concern here wasn't the blank pages, but what you really need is content created with care for the users. That's it. So if you have that, that goes a long way. So the messaging seems pretty consistent now, doesn't it? Let's just go a little further back still. Matt Cutts, now we're back to 2011. And here he's making another reference to having good content on your site and then wanting to discover that. This theme is pervasive through all of Google's communications, and there's a reason why it's the case. And in fact, Google recognizes the way that what users want from them. And basically is they want what they want fast. They're not there to hang out on Google and hang out and have a good time with the search engine. They're there to discover something, get it, and once they're done with it, they're going to go. So that's straightforward. And they've done a great job of just designing their tool, the search engine, in a way that meets that need really well. You get one tool with one purpose. It's really straightforward, very effective. And it shows in the user satisfaction numbers that they have. They score very, very highly. These are the metrics, the data is from Statista, all the way back to 2002. And they've been consistently in the 80% range throughout that entire time, which is really remarkable. Another spin at that data. This is just looking at it, comparing them with other internet portals, including other search engines. And you'll see that they are about 10% higher than the other folks who score in the 70 to 72 range. And so they're 7 points or 10% higher at 79. And just this really consistent, superior performance that they've been able to offer. And this is what leads me to this conclusion, that ultimately Google is a happiness engine. I mean, the reality is, the happier they make their users, the higher the usage level is for their search engine, and the higher the revenue they get. Now, I know there's a dynamic tension with ads and the fact they need to make revenue, and the ads are always at the top of these sorts of things. So, and of course, they do need to make revenue, but Google is very careful about this stuff. And they make sure not to go too far with the advertising and do things that alienate their users. So here's what it comes down to: user. Google is highly focused on the user. They want you to focus on the user. Their algorithms, because of their focus on the user, are really tailored to find the best content and the best experience to give their users. So what that means is, if you want to align your objectives with Google and be the provider of that best content and that best experience, your chances of getting stronger SEO results go way up. Now, again, Forrester's Sharv van Boskirk reminded us that the transition from one culture, which is not user-centric, to a user-centric culture can be hard. But the reality is, the first step: make the commitment. And hopefully you're already there. But if you're the 85% of companies, as the Forrester data shows, that aren't there yet, hopefully we can get you on the road towards that today. Now, here is a look at my overall view of organic search, kind of a simplified look. At the baseline, or the bottom, you've got technical SEO here, which is the foundation of everything. You have to get this right. And then at the top left, great content, products and services, and I could have included great user experience. All these things together, they act as the SEO accelerator. So you got to have that base technical SEO to play the game, but the content and products and services and all that, that's what scales your SEO to big heights. And with it, of course, you need quality signals coming in. So third-party endorsement, effectively. The most commonly known signal is links, and Google may be using other factors, but you need that external endorsement and enthusiasm for what you're doing to help drive everything. And so part of what Google has been talking to us about is this notion of EAT. And this aligns with this, what do we do to get those third-party endorsements? And what do we do for our content to be seen as high quality? And it comes down to, are you projecting real expertise? Are you authoritative in how you communicate? Are you trustworthy? Everybody believes that you have good intent and are forthright in the way you come to market. So these are important things to think about. And here's a slide from Jennifer Slegg from a presentation she did for SMX. This is a quote taken from the Google Webmaster Summit in November of 2019, talking about EAT. And they refer to it as their ground truth. So this is like their baseline of what they believe everything should, that they want to have in their index should project. And their Search Quality Raters Guide takes this a little further. They have this notion of needs met that they ask their quality raters to look at for things that appear in the search results. So whether it fully meets the needs, highly, moderately, slightly, or fails to meet them at all. And they collect this data in order to see how their search algorithms are doing in returning the best possible results. And here's what the Webmasters blog says about that. First of all, raters are people who give us insights. And then next line, important to understand that search raters have no control over how pages rank. So what that means is that raters information isn't taken and put directly into some algorithm which changes ranking of pages. It doesn't work that way. As it says, rather they treat it like feedback, like the feedback cards that diners at a restaurant might provide. So it doesn't immediately change the menu or how cooking is done, but then it's considered and other changes might be made to improve experience based on that feedback. So this is what leads me to my premise here is really many of the most important signals that you need to be working on in your SEO strategy are indirect. Not everything is put $2 in here, $4 comes out there. It might be put $2 in here and then something comes back. You can't measure it necessarily so directly, but it's like you put these good signals into the ether and good things come back to you, kind of like a pay it forward kind of concept. But if you have the best content and products and you've got good E and great UX and great CX and your relationships and how you deal with people are awesome, this is going to result in SEO goodness coming back to you. So just an important concept to have in mind. So having said that, here's my view of SEO in 3 basic steps. 1, flawless technical execution. We'll talk about that in a minute. 2, work the landscape. Now here I'm talking about taking advantage of search features. And 3, add the most value. That's where we're going to spend most of the rest of the time in this presentation. So first of all, the flawless technical execution part. You got to do this. And why do we have to do it? Well, a lot of times the technology we use to design our sites or build our sites in the e-commerce platform, the CMS, the coding framework, they fight us. They make it harder for us to do a good job with SEO, and we've got to work our way through it. Or we might have organizational ignorance. There might be executives at your company who don't get SEO and they're suspicious of it, and that could be a problem. And then Google has limitations too. So that's why we have to think about things like schema and SEO tags and hreflang and things like that. But people have known this for a while, and SEO has gradually become, broadly accepted. So many of your competitors are likely getting this right today. If you don't, you are in a world of hurt. You've got to get this all level set and square, no doubt about it. Here's just a look, to sort of cement the point that some of the different things that go into that flawless technical execution. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but just to give you the idea. And ultimately, I kind of set the stage for this. SEO, technical SEO, is just table stakes. If you don't get it right, you don't get to play the game. You have no chance of winning. So you got to get this right. Because if you don't ante up, you don't get to play. Then there's the idea of working the landscape. So there's many aspects to this. Featured snippets, enhanced snippets, local search, image carousels, video carousels, news results. People also ask boxes. These are just opportunities, and you should take advantage of them. They take up space in the results, and if you can show up in those areas, then the amount of traffic you can receive is obviously going to be enhanced. But you have to get both of those things lined up and then hopefully get to the point where you can focus on adding the most value. Adding the most value has many components. Understanding the user needs so you can produce the right kind of content and experience, a depth and breadth of content through the entire customer lifecycle, addressing those page experience signals that are part of Google's not yet released, but their announced page experience algorithm. And then other things which are definitely indirect: user experience, customer experience, the design of your site, the relationships you maintain with people across the web. This is all part of adding the most value. And when you dive into a little bit deeper, you have to think about, well, what percentage of visitors to your site do you satisfy? 60% is actually pretty good. But what happens if your competition satisfies a larger percentage? The honest truth here is that Google is going to want to rank these people, your competition in this case, higher. So you don't want this to happen to you. As Google's algorithms get better and better and they can discover more, this is where you could really get hurt for having an inferior site experience. And just to cement it, here's an example of a query session that was given to me by Bing actually several years ago. The session is over 55 minutes long. The user visits 6 different sites, many different interactions with search back and forth. And finally, on the 6th site, they make the transaction. There's 5 people who failed here. They had opportunities with better sites to capture that visit and potentially convert them. And that's a shame for them that they lost those opportunities. So the better you are with the site experience, the less chance you have of this happening to you. And how do you approach that? Is you have to think about task completion. So someone searches on oil filters, they come to a page on your site about oil filters. They might want the service manual to make sure they're buying the right one, or a how-to video to help show them how to do it. Maybe an oil filter wrench, maybe oil, and other things they might want. So there's a number of things that they could be looking for in addition to just that oil filter, and help them complete their task. You have to provide all of that. So a site experience that looks like this is probably not what they're looking for. Most of those people likely have one or more secondary needs that they also need addressed. So just bear that in mind when you think about your site design and how you create access to incremental information. So to start the process, you really have to understand user needs. You have customer support data, marketing research, user research, talk to your sales and marketing team. And you can also just talk to the users or prospective users directly and ask them questions about what they're looking for, and not just that surface level need, but those secondary needs. And there's other things to think about too. Okay, maybe you have the answer to all of their questions on the site, but can they find it? Or when they get to your product, does it work? Is it functioning the way they'd like? And does it have all the features that they would be looking for? And does it really meet their needs? These are all parts of the puzzle that we just really have to be very, very good at. So let's actually explore one example in detail. Imagine someone searches on Ford Focus. What do they want? They want the sedan, the hatchback, an electric, maybe a specific model number. Or if they're looking for a used car, then the year that it was made or the mileage might matter. Man, I'm showing you as 2005 and 2006 here. Those are old. And the chart isn't that old, by the way. But anyway, then beyond that, they might want the aluminum wheels, the seat warmers, maybe rear seat warmers, the heated steering wheel, the moonroof, Pandora, or any number of things. You're not going to buy a car without having these things all resolved, so that's information they're going to be looking for. Another example, just to show similar things happen in other spaces, laptops. There's many layers to what users might be looking for from a perspective with laptops as well. Another example here, this is an addiction treatment site publishing high volumes of content. That spiky red line is the monthly content publishing volume. You'll see in one case, they were over 1,000 pieces of content in a month. But on average, it's about 500 a month or 17 a day, which is a very aggressive publishing schedule. And to dive into a little bit deeper and understand how they could publish that much content, just on the topic of opiates alone, they had 84 pieces of content. And I went and did the research, and I found that for a lot of that content, the search volume was 0. And the key insight that they had is because they focused on task completion, they recognized that a lot of the users' needs might be more specific at a detailed level than they would actually search for directly in a search engine. So by creating that amazing depth and breadth of coverage, they actually drove some incredible traffic growth. That's the black line on this chart here, data from search metrics. So you see it's just up and to the right in a crazy way. So just a couple more case studies here that hammer home the point. This is a case for a major B2B e-tail brand. We published for a sustained period of time, 10 articles per month. That's represented by the black lines here. And then the red line shows their growth in traffic, which is just really steady up and up. This chart ends in late 2019, but this traffic growth has actually continued at this rate this day. So it just keeps going up, which is wonderful. Another case study, home security company. This is an interesting case study because here we show, again, the bar charts show the published content. The black line is not traffic, it's last touch conversions. So people landed on the article and they went straight to a conversion from the article. It wasn't even particularly aggressive call to action on this content. And they were driving conversions wonderfully. ROI on this campaign, 300%. Good stuff. And because those are two informational examples, here's one about the content on your category pages on an e-commerce site. Here we took 173 pages that already had content placed on them by another agency. We replaced it with our own content, which was more user focused. And that meant it was naturally keyword rich rather than forced. And it was also naturally rich with links to other related pages on the client site. Within 3 months, they saw 182% increase in their non-branded organic traffic, which is a really, really strong result. A little more data to back this all up. A study here from Conductor showing that if somebody reads some informational content on your site, a week later, they're still 48% more likely to buy from you than someone else. So they remember the experience, and it helps build trust with them. And this isn't just a B2C thing. Trust is also a huge factor in B2B. In our experience, it shows that publishing really high quality content works great in B2B environments as well. In fact, one of the case studies I shared earlier was a B2B case study. So what this all tells me is that a lot of SEO is really driven by content. And yes, those other factors are really important. So, still have to have that tech stuff all right, and no doubt about it. But, this is a lot of what helps you scale within SEO today. But it isn't just content for one stage in time. You really have to think about content through the entire life cycle, running from that initial awareness all the way through when they buy from you, or retaining them after they buy from you so you can get them to be repeat business. So to cement this, I'm going to walk through a case study from NerdWallet. So they've got really good discovery content. They've got really high quality informational content. They also have educational content. So a nice spectrum of things and a lot of it. But I'm going to walk through two examples to help illustrate a little more. First of all, there's their first-time home buyer's guide. And you'll notice at the top left, it says advertiser disclosure. And when you click on it, you get this that pops out, and it discloses they make money by having advertisers on the site. They're very open of it. But they're very clear that their content is, for you first. This is really good eat. This builds trust when somebody does this. And then you go a little further down the page, you get informational content. You see an example of a link, which brings you to a page where they make money. But the context of where they fit it into this page is right where it makes sense for users. And then below that, they have some more value-added content and a link to another page. A little further down the page, a list of first-time home buyer programs and participating lenders. A lot of cross-linking to high-quality related content. Further down the page still, more information, more resources offered. And then another link where they make money, but again, the context of where it happens in the page works really, really well. And then finally, you get to the bottom of the page and you have more links to other related resources. So really a deep experience here. I ran a readability score on this page, and it came back with a grade level 13, which is actually considered difficult to read. And the reason is it just means a certain amount of your attention. As you know, we all have a certain amount of attention deficit in today's world, right? So we get wrapped up into other things, and we might be too busy to really focus on the thing you're reading fully. The recommended target for your content is typically grade level 9. So, you know, just very smooth, easy reading. Don't have to think about it too much. So just looking at the key characteristics of this content: in-depth treatment, prolific cross-linking, clean navigation, easy to navigate. And the readability, frankly, could be improved. But ultimately, it recognizes the depth and complexity of the topic and provides users with an easy way to navigate through all that and find specific areas of interest. So that's that example. Let's look at a second example. This one, the query is, how much house can I afford? And you're looking at it. That's the content. Stick in your zip code, click next. And so for this particular query and information, this is actually the perfect response. It takes you right into a calculator where you can get the answer you're looking for. So with that in mind, let's just look across several of the types of queries in the customer life cycle, the customer journey for NerdWallet. So here's an example of a top of funnel query. First time home buyer, they ranked #1 for that. How much home can I afford? These are the two examples I shared. They ranked #1 for that. Mortgage payment calculator, another calculator type, ranked #1 for that. That was middle of funnel queries there. And then finally, bottom of funnel query, like mortgage lenders, where somebody's really close to a transaction, they ranked #1 for that too. So they're really doing well across the entire customer journey. So this is just a look at their publishing volume by month, by year actually. And if you do the math here, you know, they're north of 200 pieces of content a month. Last year, well, 2018, around 300 a month. That's like 10 every single day. So a very aggressive publishing schedule. And it's shown itself with strong link growth over time. They've done remarkably well. This is data from Ahrefs. And here with data for SEMrush, we can see their traffic growth over time, also up and to the right. It's paid off really, really well for NerdWallet. All right, I'm going to shift gears and cover a few more points before wrapping up. First of all, we've all seen the announcement of the new page experience signal from Google. This is something that they announced that isn't yet an active algorithm, but it will be at some point in 2021, and they'll announce it 6 months in advance and give us warning and this sort of thing. And if we look a little more deeply at the components of this, we've got the core web vitals metrics, which are page speed related, and then existing signals like mobile friendliness, HTTPS or not, whether it's safe for browsing, you know, has it been hacked or anything like that. And, you know, no intrusive interstitials. All of these things are areas where Google directly measures the user experience or the customer experience on your pages. So it's important to treat it as important yourself. A little deeper look at the core web vitals. These are the major components. You know, cumulative layout shift is interesting because that's where your page starts painting, and as it continues to paint, items that were already in the page jump around because the layout wasn't tightly controlled as you paint the page. Google thinks that's a really bad user experience. But for these three metrics cumulatively, I think the core point is if 75% of users have an experience that meets Google's performance targets, then your page is considered as good. and that can give you a good target. You can find more about it at this link over here at the bottom right. So ultimately, investing in CX and UX is incredibly important. You have to give users the simple experience they want. And yes, for years I've been hearing people talk about less is more in design. Yeah, not necessarily true. You have to give the users the in-depth experience they want. You have to figure out how to combine the two things and make it work both ways. Really, really important that you do that, because if you have everything that's less is more and there isn't much information around, people can't find things because you don't have them, if you dumb down your site so much, you are really going to be hurting for your, from your long-term business perspective. And the other thing I wanted to note is that a lot of brands are investing heavily in personalization. So this is part of that customer experience as well. So they're building persona models or customer journey maps or segmentation models. Some are even doing individualization, one-to-one mapping for users. Only 4% of the people in this survey said they were doing nothing. And just some background, the survey was done by Proficient in August of this year. And we surveyed 154 senior executives from large enterprise companies. And so this kind of says everybody's investing in this. So this is another area that's important. And I believe that this will impact, maybe not by direct means, but it will impact ultimately your SEO results. So, here's a quote from Steve Jobs. Design isn't just what it looks like or feels like, it's actually how it works. This is a really important concept. Focus on making it work for the user, helping them with task completion. It's critical that you do this in order to offer them, the utility that they're looking for. I was struggling for the word there for a second. Are they really getting the utility they're looking for? Are they getting to what they want as quickly as they would like to, and finding ultimately what they want? So the last thing really is that relationship building. I've mentioned it. It's really important. You got to build credibility and trust. You got to demonstrate subject matter expertise. Being advocate for things can be very, very powerful. Doing a good job of outreach and amplification with influencers and media people. How you're interacting with that web ecosystem is really important. So ultimately, as a refresher, here's my SEO in 3 basic steps. Got to have that flawless technical execution. You want to work the landscape, and those are the things that are just the basics, in my opinion. If you don't get to the stage where you're working on adding the most value, then ultimately you're going to have a very tough time having long-term success in SEO. This is where Google is pointing all their guns. We need to get in line and follow their lead and do the same with our own sites. With that, we have time for questions. Thank you very much.